Hi everyone. I've had a lot of questions in my classes and just in general on how to actually paint macarons a full shiny colour, so gold, silver, bronze, all those sorts of things. I've got some to do today, so I thought I'd make this quick little video and show you exactly what I do and what I use. So it's really easy. And most of the things you can get from a cake decorator's shop. So I'll just adjust the camera now, and I will be speaking as I go along so that you can see exactly what I'm doing. So these are just some of the spare ones that I have left over from today's order. As you can see, they've been filled and I've left them overnight. I prefer to paint them when they are filled. It's just my preference. It's a little bit easier to handle, but if you want to do them in the shells before you fill them, by all means you can. Because I'm doing gold today, I've actually done them a pale yellow. It just helps a little bit with the colour going on, and in case you have any see-through or anything like that, but you shouldn't really have too much see-through. So I've got a few there to do. So in this instance, I'm using Rolcom. I like to use these powders, and this one happens to be super gold. There are a few different other versions. I just happen to have this one, which I'm more than happy with. So I've got a couple here just because I know one of them's running quite low. All I'm using is, so the Rolcom's just a soft brush. So this is one that I generally use to paint metallic colours. So I'm not sure if you can see, but there's a lot of sparkle already still in there. Just a dish. But this, I'd say, is definitely the key here, the Cake Decorator's Rose Spirit. I definitely prefer Rose Spirit over vodka. Vodka will actually, or it can sometimes make your macaron shells too wet because it doesn't dry as fast as Rose Spirit. Rose Spirit actually dries within a few minutes. So if you can get your hands on this large bottle, I actually bought from Caroline's Sugar Art in South Australia. However, cake decorating shops here in Melbourne do have just a smaller bottle, so up to you, whatever you'd like to. I use it quite a bit, so I do get the large bottles. Now, to actually make up the mixture, there's not much left in here, so I'm just emptying that one out because I know there's not a lot left in there. Once you add your Rose Spirit, you do need to work fairly quickly because the Rose Spirit does evaporate quite quickly, but the colour actually still stays in your bowl. So all you need to do is keep adding the Rose Spirit, and then the colour will, I guess, regenerate itself. So I start off very slowly. I just put a bit in a cap. So I've sort of just got a cap full there, but I don't add all of it at once. I just like to add a little bit as I go along, and I give it a bit of a shake, trying to make sure that there are no lumps, but not thinning it out too much. So this is where I'll just get my paintbrush, and that's not a bad consistency there. So as I go along, the alcohol will actually evaporate, so I can just keep adding from that cap full back in. And then it's just as simple as dipping my brush in. I don't like to put too much on the brush, just start off slow and painting over. So I'm quite happy with that consistency because it's going on quite evenly and it's not see-through at all. Flip it over, you will end up with gold fingers after this. And I like to use a wide brush just because it'll sort of avoid too many brush marks and things like that. If you do go over it a fair bit, you may get brush marks and it does actually come off again. And there you have it. So I do like to just sort of use the pointy end just to get on the feet, just to make sure I get it in all the little holes and the gaps and things like that. And there you have it. macaron in Super Gold. So I'll demonstrate just one more time. So this will cover roughly, say, 10-15 macarons, and then I'll just make up a new batch. I am fairly generous because it just sort of stops any brush marks. And sort of go around the sides, flip it over. I'm always holding it on the sides as well. It's just a little bit easier, and also you don't get too many fingerprint marks over the top. So luckily these are just spares, which I was able to show you with. But yeah, you can actually paint each shell individually, but I find this is more than enough, and nobody's actually going to see the inside of the shell in any way. That'll be with filling. So I don't think you actually need to paint on the inside of the shell. If you wanted to paint your filling, that's completely up to you. I find that it generally gets covered anyway. So, and there you go. That's Rolcom Super Gold. And last one, just in case. And that's how quickly they get done. Within minutes, by the time you've sort of done the first one, the third one I should say, sorry, the first one will be practically dry. I am just laying them flat. I should say I've just got a mat here and I'm laying them flat like that for them to dry. So they won't mark underneath. You can see they've come off a little bit, so I just sort of go over like that and it's already covered again. So, but up to you how you'd like to let them dry, if you want to let them stand, or either way, whatever's easier for you, but I just let them dry flat. And as I said, it only takes a couple of minutes for it to dry. In cooler weather, it might take a little bit longer, but it's not too bad here today, so. And if a little bit is showing, I'll just sort of go over the inside. I'll just try and cover all the yellow, and as you can see, the yellow does help a lot when you cover in gold. So obviously if you're covering in silver, maybe do a pale grey, bronze, maybe a deep orange, or a maybe a light brown, something like that. And yeah, you will get gold fingers. So that's just part of the job, I suppose. But that's it. So as you can see, it's already starting to evaporate. So what I'll do, just add a tiny bit more of, it does get quite thick, so I just add a few more drops of rose spirit. Just give it a quick stir. Maybe just a few more. And just sort of play around with it. If you do thin it out too much, just wait for about 5 minutes and it will start to evaporate, and so you can thicken it up again. Once all of that does evaporate, the gold actually does stay in there, so you can use it again. So all you need to do is just brush it back into a container, but just be aware of where you used it, just in case of allergies or any food safety issues that you may have like that. Other than that, so this is the one I used again, so Rolcom Super Gold. There are different versions of gold, so it's basically whatever colour you'd like to use. I hope that's helped you out, and I'll catch you next time.